AoE Anarchist, Risen Dragon here with a video for you today. And today's video is a bit different. We are going to look at a Civ, we are going to look at the Woo, but we're also going to look at the concept of score intimidation. And this was a term I came across. It was either in a Twitch stream or on Discord for the T90 Community Cup 2. And what it is when you look in the corner, the lower right corner of your screen, and you see the score, and you notice that your opponent is jumping ahead or is about to jump ahead, especially after you've been ahead for a long time, and you throw in the towel, or you think of throwing in the towel. Well, here is how I'm going to approach that and give you some tips on maybe how to avoid that and avoid that mindset. And we're going to look at two games of mine where score intimidation worked against us and worked for us. But before we do that, we are going to take a look at the Woo, because this is the Civ that we're playing in both of those matches. They are an infantry and naval civilization. Their military production buildings and docks provide plus 65 food. Their infantry regenerates 10, 20, 30 hit points, respectively, per minute in feudal, castle, and imperial. So basically, their infantry heals per minute. And that's important. Jian Swordsman and He Guang Cavalry, which we're going to look at in a sec, get plus 2 attack in Imperial, making them incredibly powerful. Careening, dry dock, available 1 age earlier. Cost and research time is 75% less. Their unique units are Fire Archers, which is a foot archer, a Jian Swordsman, which is an infantry, and Sun Jian, who is our hero. Their unique techs are Red Cliff's Tactics, demo ships and Fire Archers deal fire damage to ships and buildings. Sitting Tiger is their Imperial upgrade, Traction Trebs and Luchuan. Trebuchet weapons fire additional projectiles, and their team bonuses, their houses are built 100% faster. That is incredibly important as far as their keeping up with production is concerned. So let's take a look at the Civ real quick before we get into the games. Their barracks are pretty stout. They are an infantry Civ, and the big thing that we want to look at is the fact that they have these things called Jian Swordsmen. They're shock infantry that gains movement speed and attack, but loses armor when a threshold is reached. It is strong against archery units and very weak against militia line. Also, knights tend to wreck the Jian Swordsmen. They do not get upgrades, but basically our strategy is, and your strategy should be, get up to, go fast castle, get up to castle as quickly as you can, just start spamming Jian Swordsman. Okay, as far as their archery range is concerned, they're actually pretty stout with archers. They don't get, they pretty much get everything except for heavy cav archers and all that. All right, they also get squires and arson. Their stables are pretty good as well. Actually, they're pretty dang good. Well, kind of, sort of, maybe not really. The He Guang cavalry, they're all-purpose cav. We can do the comparison. They're not as strong as knights, but they're a little. They're hit points wise, they are a bit heavily armored, though it looks like. So, definitely, maybe not an upgrade, but certainly something you can work with. Obviously, they have bloodlines in husbandry. The big thing about the Woo, and this is something that cost me the first game you're going to watch. Spoiler alert! It costs me because Siege Workshop. Okay, their siege is okay. Well, actually, no, I can't say that. They don't have ram upgrades. They only have onagers, so they can't go siege onagers. But the big thing here is traction trebuchets. They don't have trebs in the castle, which we're all used to. Okay, now the thing is this has a long range. It cannot attack enemies at close range. It can attack ground and destroy trees. But the big thing is with traction trebs, you don't have to break them down and move them like a regular treb, but you have to build them in the Siege Workshop. That is incredibly important. Okay, so that is something that if you're going to play the Woo, you have to make sure that you remember that the trebuchets are in the Siege Workshop. Okay, Blacksmith, they pretty much get everything except for ring archer armor. Docks, they're actually a naval civ, so you're going to get almost all the upgrades. You don't get the cannon galleons or shipwrights, but you do get Luchuan, which I'll be completely honest, I've never really played water maps. But it's a siege warship that fires arrows at units and uses a long-range trebuchet weapon against buildings. So basically, it's like a water-based trebuchet. Incredibly, incredibly good. As far as university is concerned, they get pretty much everything except siege engineers, which is pretty big. Arrow slits, bombard tower, and fortified walls. So the walls are not going to be as strong. But obviously, they do get the tower upgrades and all that sort of stuff. Castles. Now, your fire archers. These are foot archers that fire multiple arrows at units and use a long-range attack against buildings. They're very strong versus infantry, siege, and buildings, and they're weak versus cavalry and skirms, as always. Also, Sunjian, who is our hero. It is a cavalry hero that increases the movement speed of nearby units. It's extremely powerful, cannot be converted. We've already gone over their techs. Obviously, their monastery is actually surprisingly strong. Heresy, that's lacking. Yep, I got you there. Block printing, that's also a major one, but everything else is a go there. Same goes with all of their techs and whatnot. So, the Wu is actually a rather, quite a stout new civ from the Three Kingdoms expansion, and I haven't seen it a lot in lower elo games, so I think it's worth exploring for if you're looking to possibly gain some points. So we're going to look at two games today. One was from the Community Cup. The other one was a game I played on the ladder, and both of them demonstrate, I believe, the concept of score intimidation. Plus, you get to see how the Wu functions. So please join me as we enter the battlefield. This is my game from the TCC 2 tournament, and it's against gurudeburdel, a player from Argentina. And we're on the map called Roe Rage. Now, Roe Rage is basically a very, very interesting map because you have like deep fish, like right in here. Oh, hold on a second. You have like deep fish, like right in here. And you can kind of use them as like replacements for like herdables, which they don't really have. They only have like 2 cows and stuff, but also you have your hunt and all that sort of thing. So we're going to fast forward. We're going to go through feudal here, and you're going to see kind of how we operate as far as that is concerned. So we always want to keep, again, you always want to keep your TC humming. As you see, Guru is playing the Berbers. They, of course, are a cavalry and naval civ. We're infantry and whatnot. So, going to keep an eye on how we do here. But really what we do is we go for the herdables. We bring in the... oh, we almost lose a Vil there. I think I may have lost a Vil at one point. But anyways. But notice we then start throwing the... we start throwing the... Vils on our fish and all that. We get a mill going. It's a pretty standard setup. I will say one thing too. I'm approaching, and I would encourage you to approach the Wu as you would the Celts. Throw 4 villagers on wood, and kind of go from there. So again, with this particular setup, it's you have your deep fish here, and you want to try to... oh, there we go. Okay, so 14 seconds worth of idle time. Yes, haha, that is sweet right there. So we go up to feudal all around the same time, but now we start pushing forward. And actually, I'm going to show you what I see. We do get a gold mine going. We have our militia going. Actually, we're going to go 2 speed now. And we start just pushing forward. Loom comes in, man-at-arms come in, and we basically just kind of start going, kind of man-at-arms rushy on them. We do idle the TC for a little bit here. Yep, there we go. So, 20 seconds. That's not great, not terrible. The big thing here, too, is we do also have our huntables are kind of close by. Arson coming in for our warriors, but also too, we're kind of patrolling around here, kind of finding wood lines if we can. Do we pick off a few here? Nah, we don't pick off a few. They go for a tower as well. But also notice, we're jumping ahead quite a bit. By the way, My elo in this match, the Guru is around 750, and I think I'm around 561 in this. So, we throw out a few spears, knowing that they have a, knowing that they are a cavalry civ. We definitely throw out a few spears just to kind of hold down the fort at home. And now here, where do I go with it? Where am I going with these? Where am I going with these? Do I tower rush? I can't remember what I did in this game. But anyways, these youngins right here. I'm trying to figure out what's happening here. I think maybe I do go with tower. I do idle the TC a little bit. Oh no, I got wheelbarrow coming in, so. Maybe, oh, I built a tower back there to try to get them off the gold. So that could have been that's an interesting move. And then I think I set up a backdoor lumber camp here, giggity, and we just kind of go from there. Double bit coming in for us. Yeah, see, we're not quite in the range of the tower, or not quite in the range of the other tower, but that's neither here nor there. We do get an archery range. Actually, we got a forward range going. That's what we did. Just so we can kind of like maybe get the, kind of get some. I think my plan was to get some archers in and try to do that. But yeah, also, we don't want to idle the production buildings. Plus, also, too, with the Wu, military production buildings and docks, they provide 65 food. We do go up to castle fairly quickly. Yeah, maybe a forward. Yeah, now we get some archers coming in. Maybe just try to harass. But also notice, too, our scores are relatively. We're within about 100 or so of each other. And, we do get fletching coming in, which is an interesting one. I do house the archers in there. They get a stable going. Now at home, we have a few issues with production because we have to get our, we get our farms up. Hey, idle TC, a minute 30 going up to castle. That is an insane improvement for me. Insane improvement as far as that's concerned. And now we're going to waste it all. But neither here nor there. We do get a few, we do get some of those going. We get our mining research in. Fletching, we don't quite range the tower, but that's okay. They've got bloodlines coming in, so clearly we are, we got people on stone as well. There's like small stone mines. So, Roe Rage is an interesting map because there's not a lot of like resources per se, and now we're just gonna start spamming Jian Swordsman. We're gonna start spamming them. But that's your strat. That's your strat. And basically, in here, I'm trying to, scout out a little bit more of the enemy base. We get a forward barracks going. We eventually do get some castles and stuff going here, too. Now, here, I'm like, all right, we gotta get, we're going after, here's the problem. We start attacking buildings, and that's part of the issue, is when you attack with buildings, and now here I've got cav archers, see, I'm not doing anything with these. And this is the part that really, afterwards, people were, saying, hey, you had a really good start, but you just focused on attacking buildings. And I should have been going after their eco, I should have been going after all these different things. So, I had Bod Canero coming in as well, getting some range. We're idling the TC quite a bit, but because now we're kind of focused on, we're really focused on the military production. But here, this is just, we're literally attacking, well, not literally attacking a windmill, that would be this right here. But this is doing nothing, and look at this, they're able to regroup behind instead of me going after their eco and all that sort of thing. Plus, they're on 3 TCs, we're on 2, and we're both idling our TCs pretty badly at this point. They don't have any upgrades for their knights, and we have our Xian swordsman upgrades. They have quite a bit of that armor and stuff, and they take a pretty interesting fight here. What is those? Those are our genitors, so they're kind of like skirms. But here again, we're not doing anything. We get a castle going. It's kind of like a castle, kind of like in their face. I probably may have wanted to put this in. We can even get crossbowmen. We can even get crossbowmen upgrades as well. So, but we're not idling the TC too much. And also notice too, they are getting their monks in. They've got a couple monks, and that was really what I was. They get a castle going too in the middle. What do I see? I don't see it. Oh no, I do. We try to get the conversion. We run away. Go underneath. And do we literally attack windmills? No, we attack them. They do get a convert. And now we're in kind of a standoff, so to speak. They attack my tower, because that's within the range of that. But also, too, notice my score. And again, we're going to keep an eye on this. I'm about 600 ahead, and here I'm thinking, okay, I'm in pretty good shape. I'm actually in really good shape, I think. We get the pike upgrades, and we do a lot of these, you know, we start, you know, fire archers are really good against buildings, by the way. They're insanely good against buildings. And their range, look at their range, it's like 11. It's insane. And now here I've got all these, you know, amassing all these different things. And and I should be, you know, going after, instead of the tower here, I should be, you know, kind of targeting the monks and trying to get those off the field, because they do come into play. They try to convert that, doesn't quite work. They do convert, and again, now we start walking into monks, and I'm like, oh no, that's not good. So they get a few conversions. That's a problem. But also look at this, our score is now we're up by almost 1,300, and I'm thinking I'm in great shape here. Problem is I can't figure out how to finish this off. I'm so like 100% focused on, and he's going up to imp. I'm going up to imp. He actually hits imp before I do, and this is where the problems start to come in. Not only do they hit imp before I do, but also I start to, you know, this now I'm kind of like not necessarily panic mode, but now I'm like, well, wait a minute here, what's happening? I do get, you know, just some developments at home. I do have a nice little stone mine in the middle there. But again, these fire archers are absolutely great when it comes to the... but they're getting repaired, as you can see. So now I need to find something to bring down the castle. And sure enough, they have a treb. Sure enough, there's the treb. And they've got the monks behind it. Fire archers, trying to get them within range. Get the Xian swordsman under the castle. They're actually pretty good. And look at all the converts. They had like 3 or 4 conversions there. And this is where the game starts to take its... And now look at this. Remember the score a couple minutes ago was like over... Not even a couple minutes ago, like 30 seconds ago. It was like 1,300. And now I realize, oh, wait a minute. I gotta start building trebs. And the trebs are not in my castle. And they've now got the advantage as far as military is concerned. My eco is starting to run a little bit low. I do have the Xian swordsman still, but now they've got the knights, and they've figured out a solution to it. So, and they've actually got, you know, and I will give Guru a you know, a lot of credit. His monk play, very, very good. Very, very good. So I get the traction trebs in, and I think I may have... And now I start getting that going. My castle is down. Genitours are coming in. And they get a lot of conversions. And again, very good monk play. I do bring down their castle. But now, if you look at my military versus their military, this is not good. I try to bring a castle up, but they're right on me. And that was when I decided, you know, this is where we part ways, my friend. So I do think, you know, and I'm looking at this map right now. I do think this was appropriate. I could sense that it was starting to turn. I could have easily just, you know, kind of regrouped at home, built more barracks here once these got destroyed, maybe even, you know, but I think the problem was I had the resources, but I do think this was an appropriate one. So what can we take away from this game? Well, first of all, let's look at the stats real quick. So as you see, his military was a little bit better, economy was a little bit better. My tech was way better than theirs. They had more kill to deaths. I had more raisings, which I think and they had more conversions. I gotta say, Guru for this level around 750 elo for them. Incredibly good monk play. I think that's something that's incredibly underrated as far at this level is concerned. So. Relic gold, they didn't get any relics. No one got any relics. I always preach that. But, you know, as far as, you know, we were really well ahead with resources, well ahead with tech. Well, kind of, sort of. I mean, we were right on top of each other as far as, like, feudal and castle were concerned. I would have liked to see my castle get a little bit better. We had more vills, actions per minute. Hey, I'm up to 23. That's pretty cool. I'm liking that. Lots of fun takeaways here. But again, score intimidation, it's a thing. Because once I saw this starting to creep in their favor, and especially looking at all their military and stuff versus mine, I do think this was an appropriate resign at this point. So let's actually look at a second game that I played yesterday with the Woo, and it actually worked for us versus against us. So this is a game we played yesterday. This is versus the 9th grader. And this was done on the ladder. We are in the blue. They are playing the Way, which is a cavalry civilization. Also from the new Three Kingdoms expansion. So, they're also on mobile, it looks like. I think they're on mobile. So, generally speaking, I've had great success against mobile players. We have 2 seconds of idle TC time. So again, lots to take away from this. But again, with the Way, basically, or with the Woo, I should say, I'm playing them like the Celts. You're throwing 4 on... You throw 4 on the wood, and you just try to go from there. You can see what I see early in the game. And we don't try to snipe their scout going by. That's just kind of, you know, that's not the best strat. And we do go up to feudal. 37 seconds of idle TC. That's pretty good right there. That's very good right there for us. Very good. So we actually go for the backwards gold here, simply because it's out of the way. Good scouting on my part, I think. I think that was a good one. Okay, and we're going to go slow it down to 2. We do have loom coming in and whatnot. So now we get and now we start. Do I start? No, I don't start. I don't start doing that. The man-at-arms comes in first. We get the man-at-arms upgrade, and then we start to, they go up to feudal as well. So, again, you know, kind of fairly standard opening at the moment. We do start to produce man-at-arms. We do get squires going, or not squires, arson. We do get arson going as well. So they go up to feudal. We are kind of chilling at the moment. We also do get a blacksmith and yeah, quite a bit of idle. We idle TC a little bit too much here, but that's neither here nor there. We do get a blacksmith going, and I think I also get something else going, but I can't. No. we do wall off in the front. They're kind of wide open, so we do our scouting, we do our due diligence, trying to figure out where they are, and then we start going for the. Those are staying a little bit too. But if you look at this, now we're starting to pull ahead and score. And again, this is where I'm thinking like, oh yeah, I'm in great shape, But no, they go wheelbarrow really early there. That's all right though. Well, for us at least. They come in. They have a tower set up, so kind of like protecting their wood line and all that. And that's all right. We go after their. In this game, I tried to actually go after their eco. I tried to kind of do that instead of going after the buildings. I kind of scout around looking for weak vills and all that sort of stuff. I actually do find a cow that's kind of cool, and they actually go 2 towers here. They actually do 2 towers. They actually threw a lot of people on the wood. So and we go castle pretty quickly here. But they've got no one on food. They got a lot on gold, a lot of mine, or they've got 3 on gold, on food, it looks like. But I'm here just kind of harassing their eco and all that stuff. They've got a kill against us, but that's neither here nor there. We have 2 barracks going up. We have a market. Our market's like right in the front, so that's all right. Party in the front, business in the back. A lot of people on wood. We need to, and we do end up, fixing this. We do throw a lot more on food because, as you see there, we had a lot of them on food. But again, looking at the score here, quite a bit of a difference between the 2 of us, and we're going to start spamming the John Swordsman in a moment. So, we go up to feudal around, just barely under, not quite 20 minutes, and not really a fast castle, but. And now here I just start, I go after their tower, and they start to harass me a little bit. I go around, but now we start spamming John Swordsman. And we do a wheelbarrow comes in, we have fills queued up, and we start to kind of build and build and build. Now they've got enough, they threw a lot of kids on, stone, which I'm not a huge fan of. But notice here, we're like almost 1,000 ahead, and we're just kind of chilling at the moment. But now we start to, and here I think I do go after their tower, because we can get under the tower with these Jean swordsmen and really start to do damage. So they do go there. They do get a kill on us, and now we go after their TC for some reason. I think I may have just drifted away from that, but I would have liked to have seen, and they do go for a castle pretty much right away. We do get some eco kill, or we don't get any eco kills, but notice here, we're almost 1,000 up, and even though they've got the castle going up, I'm not overly concerned about it, because I'm gonna get one in a moment as well. But now we once more we do start going after buildings like houses and stuff, which we can't really do. But now they've got their tiger cavalry coming in, and this is going to be an interesting fight for us. And we do eventually, I think we do get the castle up here, or they start to, I don't know. What does happen here? I think here's where I was like, oh no, and we start wandering under, because I clicked on everybody. But yeah, no, these tiger cavalry are really, really, it's pretty effective there. Our Jean swordsmen are pretty effective against them. So we are just out of the range of the castle. And here, I think score intimidation got to them. Because of the fact that we're almost 1,000 ahead. They're getting a castle in their face. Did they see that, by the way? That's a question I have. Okay, I think they did see it. Yeah, looks like they did see it. So I think I can guess kind of why they did it. And also too, we have 41 villagers versus going up to 44. Stronger army. I think this was. I mean, I think they may have been able to rebound, but yeah, who knows? All right, so let's look at our statistics here. As far as military, we were across the board better. They did have a castle go up by the time we did, plus they're 450. So we're beating up on someone, 100 points lower than us, but that's still, that's neither here nor there. They actually had more kills than we did, but just barely. I was able to take care of more buildings. Army high was obviously belonged to us. Eco, they had more stone, but again, the big thing here was food. We outdid them like 2-1 on the food. We almost outdid them 2-1 on the gold. They spent, we bought a lot of stuff, so we used our market. We abused our market a little bit. Feudal, we hit feudal before 10 minutes, which is great. Castle was around 20, so that's not too terrible. We had more vills than they did. We had a few more eco kills. All right, so I went back down to 16 there, and it's not what I'm looking for, but actions per minute doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot as far as that's concerned. So I think the big lessons I want you all to take away from that is I think in this game, the 9th grader, I think they could have fought on. I really do. I really think they could have fought on. And I think had they rebounded, a little bit more, and again, not easy because now in Castle, I'm applying pressure. I applied pressure all game with the Woo. So I think that we're on to something as far as that's concerned. Would I say that they're the Three Kingdoms version of the Celts? And not really, because of the fact that their wood bonus does not, the Celts have that wood bonus, and they also have strong siege. Woo is not really like that. I think if I were to compare the Woo to another Civ, maybe, I don't know, I'd have to go, I'm trying to think. I don't want to say Bulgarians, but I do think that, the Woo are a very viable option for someone who's low elo like myself, and many of you probably watching this video are. But the point is this, is that, score intimidation kind of worked in our favor this time around due to the fact that, one, we were clearly ahead in our, production, we were clearly ahead in that, and they saw the score, they saw the castle going up, and they're like, screw this, we're out. But whether that happened or not, who knows? But the point is that, this is a really, this is a really fun Civ to play, and bear in mind that you need to make sure that, if you are playing the game, you have to make sure that you are, keeping an eye on the score, but not holding it to what it actually is. Because in our first game, we were ahead. We were winning that game. And then once I saw the score starting to shift, I was like, no. And in reality, looking back on it, I was like, yeah, that was appropriate, because they had the stronger army. My army was depleted and all that. So I think in the moment, yes, it was an appropriate resign. But looking at that score and seeing it jump like it did, that was definitely a big, ooh moment. So if you learned something from this video, great. If you like what you saw, please please subscribe. And as always, my AoE anarchists, happy hunting. See you on the battlefield.